and a very good morning to all the participating teachers. So, friends, this particular course is about effective teaching learning, isn't it? And for effective teaching learning, I think many of the teachers have been employing only the lecture mode of imparting instruction. So they are using only chalk and talk, and many of us are using only, many of us are only pouring the information into the minds of the students. And we have taken feedback from the students, and students have found the classroom lectures very much boring when the teacher is simply talking, talking and talking. He is not interacting any kind of media, or he is not supplementing the abstract things with concretized examples. So traditionally the students listen to the lectures and take tests in the class and read textbooks, work on problem sets at home. And if you critically ask your get your feedback from the students, they will tell that many of the teachers are speaking at a very high rate of delivery. So this is one major reason, I would say, inadequate rate of delivery. And second is the the language used by the teacher is very hi-fi, and the teachers are not able to integrate media in the classroom. The students are not attentive in the classroom because the teacher is not able to gain the attention of all the students. And there are varied learning outcomes ranging from cognitive domain, affective domain, and then the psychomotor domain. And it is not feasible to achieve all the learning outcomes by using lecture mode of imparting instruction. Now if I ask you to take 1 minute and look at the this one, that is lecture mode of imparting instruction, 1 minute notation. Okay, now identify a frustration you have in your teaching with your students. Okay, and on a sheet of paper write your frustration, and uh, I definitely in 1 minute you will be able to identify large number of shortcomings in the lecture mode of imparting instruction. So we can categorize those shortcomings in four major areas. One is related to student motivation. Second is related to unique instructional capability. Teacher has got good potential, but because of paucity of time, because he has to complete this syllabi, he is not able to utilize his very good potentials. And another is support for new instruction approaches, that is opportunity for continuing discussion for peer learning is missing in the classroom. And fourthly, the teacher wants to do much more, as I said, than mere chalk and talk and do frequent assessment. So let us have a look at the motivation level. Motivation, all of us discuss one typical question: what can we do to motivate students to learn? Okay, the question is very simple, but the answer is not straightforward, because the typical procedures that the teachers employ for motivating their students are very often indirect and subtle. So as a teacher, I need to capture the interest of my students. Okay, so if you are able to capture, it means you will find that students are taking too much interest in your lecture. As a teacher, I want students to have a greater sense of control on their learning. This is not possible in a traditional classroom teaching, because the traditional classroom teaching is dominated by the teacher. The teacher stands in front of the class as a sage on the stage, and he is simply pouring the information into the minds of the students. Sometimes he is simply dictating from his notes. And my students, you see, are not prepared for class discussion because they haven't kept up with the textbook reading. So this is regarding student motivation. I can talk for hours together on motivating students. Now, in regard to unique instructional capabilities, you see, as a teacher, I need to demonstrate the processes. Okay, I need to be able to demonstrate processes, but because the content is too much, I have to complete the content in 45 minutes or 1 hour. So demonstration is not feasible. Even my students need access to extra resources to update or expand on what the text offers. As a teacher, have I identified good media from YouTube? Have I given references of resources which are available on Google or other platforms? Many good learning material is available, maybe on the swim platform, Google platform, YouTube. I would like students to track their progress in the course. How? You see, in a classroom, the teacher asks one or two questions only, and that two or three students answer the questions. So they are not able to, you see, track their progress during learning. So if I give them some learning material which is you see which contains self evaluation question, or you can say practice based question followed by feedback, then they would find it very much interesting and effective. Now, my students need to be able to assess their understanding of the content. Again, one or two questions are asked. I would like to provide students with more immediate feedback of their work, because in a classroom teacher is busy in delivering the lecture, so he is asking one or two questions to one or two students, and sometimes the teacher doesn't give any kind of feedback or reinforcement. My students need to spend more time on task practicing a skill. Again, I am not providing sufficient time to students in the classroom for practicing a skill. In regard to support for new instructional approaches, you see, as a teacher, I would like to reduce the amount of time spent in class on lecturing without sacrificing coverage of the content. This is possible only if I could give the learning material in advance to the students, let them prepare at home, and when they come to the classroom, there will be no lecturing, only the teacher will supplement, uh, or the teacher will clarify the doubts, he can supplement with more example, more you see exercises are given in the classroom, more practice is given in the classroom. And my students need opportunities for continuing discussion for peer learning. This is possible only if lecture part is dealt with out of the class, and during the class the students are involved in relevant discussion with their peers. I would like to help my students focus more on understanding and application rather than will that be on the test. You see, in a lecture, if you notice, the teacher you see delivers instruction, the students are only at the remembering level or at the understanding level at the most. Application analyzing, evaluating, creating, these parts are not, you see, touched during the classroom teaching learning, because teacher is simply busy with the lecture content. I would like to give my students a greater sense of responsibility for their learning. I'm not making them responsible for their learning. If I give them material to study at home, they will study, they will try to remember some of the things, they can be made responsible. I would like to do more activity based learning in class. But you see, I have a lot of material I need to cover. And I would like students to have more frequent grade updates, not possible in a classroom. So, in what category would you put your need? Definitely, you will say that the teacher is encouraged to move from a teaching model to a learning model. Now, teaching model emphasizes the teacher is acting as a sage on the stage. Sage is a person who has wisdom, knowledge, who had gathered through, you see, experience. He has to facilitate learning. He has to act as a guide on the side of the learners. So you have to make a shift from teacher centered approach to student centered learning approach. And you see that we are living in a time when things are moving fast. The rules of the game are changing. Science is changing. Technology is changing. Even, my friends, the word of work has also changed. But our students are, for the most part, still constrained by traditional transmission model of learning. I think you have noticed that today's students grew up with internet access. YouTube, WhatsApp, Facebook, MySpace, and a number of other digital resources. Students now can typically be found doing their homework while texting their friends. I mean, on Facebook, that is exchanging real life, real time messages, and even listening to music, all at the same time. So the use of the traditional learning approach, which focuses on the teacher as the center of knowledge, is irrelevant today. My friends, the students are now much more, you see, up to date than us, because they have the access to YouTube, Google net platform, Facebook, and they are learning. They can also contribute in the classroom. It means, as a teacher, I need to learn along with my student also. So as a solution, traditional classroom activity like lecture, laboratory work, homework, examination can be moved to the web 2.0 technology, and students can study everywhere outside the classroom. And the net generation, how do we reach, the question is, how do we reach this new generation of learners who are highly devised? Many devices have become popular across generations. Majority of the students are now owning cell phones, laptops, desktop computers. They are leading the way in increased mobility, preferring laptops to desktops, using their cell phones for a variety of functions, including internet, email, music, games, video, and so on. The next generation is highly networked. The next generation is highly interactive. They don't want to work. They want to interact with media. They want to interact with peer groups, and they are highly social. And I now present before you one survey which was conducted by Kaiser Family Foundation, and they have conducted a survey on 8 to 18-year-old kids, and they have observed that the kids spend about 6 hours with media per day, and 26% of the time they use more than two media simultaneously: mobile phone, internet. He's listening to, you see, video, watching video. 3.5 hour they spend on TV video per day, 1 hour music per day, 1 hour using computer, 49 minutes playing video games, 43 minutes they spend on, you see, recreational reading. So the students, to them, computers are not technology. They are carrying out multiple tasks simultaneously. Multitasking, friends, can mean many things. For example, as I said, doing two or more tasks at the same time. For example, listening to music while studying. Multitasking can mean switching back and forth between tasks, like reading a textbook and then checking social media between pages. Multitasking means doing a number of tasks quickly, one after the other, or maybe simultaneously, like answering a practice question, reading another subject's homework, instructions, and then studying one page of notes. But at the same time, we have to admit that multitasking while doing homework or while studying in the classroom can interfere with a student's ability to learn and absorb information. And reality is more and more a meaningless term. Why? Because most of their waking time is spent in virtual world. Now let us have a look at what we know about successful learning. Active. The student need to be active in the classroom, but in the classroom traditional lecture, the teacher is delivering instruction, students are sitting as passive listeners, and they, when they find lecture quite boring, they are not able to absorb, they indulge themselves in daydreaming because they are not involved. So active learning is the most important part of successful learning. Contextual, that is a type of constructive learning that enables the students to understand the facts and figures and relate them with real life examples and can even apply their applications. So in a classroom, The teacher hardly relates with examples from the word of work or examples from the daily life, or he hardly shows any visual or video supplementing with what he is telling in the classroom. Engaged and educational strategy. So through this, we can allow the student to participate in real life activities through collaboration, exploration, discovery with peers. Again, this is we are not giving any opportunity in a traditional class. Interactive and social. So these are the five components of successful learning. Now, if you relate how we learn with the different you see components of the events, different events which we are you see carrying out in the classroom, you see we tend to understand 10% of what we read, that is we are reading alone. And if the book is written in an abstract way, I think only 5 to 10% can be understood. But if the reading material contains number of examples, number of illustration, the comprehension part can increase more. And in a classroom, we are simply hearing to our teachers, so only 20% of what we hear can be comprehended. And if the teacher uses some visual, he has brought some you see PowerPoint presentation, 30%. And if some video is shown to the student, that is they are watching a demonstration, they are watching a video, you see video through hearing and seeing, we can comprehend 50%. And when we are allowed to participate, when we are allowed to make presentation, 70% we can comprehend, and 90% of what we both say and do. So to address these needs, we try to open up class time for active learning strategies. Now the question is, how do I do and still provide the same coverage of the content? And this is what we mean by the classroom flip model. So flipped classroom is a new method of teaching that is turning the traditional classroom on its head. Now every day, thousands of teachers deliver the exact same lesson in class to millions of students, isn't it? And every night, millions of students sit over the exact same homework trying to figure out how to solve it. Now, this is the situation when we are employing only lecture mode of imparting instruction. Now, the flipped classroom is turning this upside down. In flipped teaching, students first study the topic by themselves using e-content, video lesson on YouTube, that is you have provided the e-content and the video available on YouTube, or you have you see recorded your own video with your mobile camera, and that material you have given to the students in advance through WhatsApp, through Facebook, or maybe you have uploaded the material on the website of your institution. They can download the material, they can study the material. So the students first study the topic by themselves using e-content, video lesson on YouTube, and then apply the knowledge by solving problems and doing practical work in the classroom. So that is the lecture content you have given to them in advance. They will be made responsible to study at home, and when they come to the classroom with some preparation, they can ask for clarification, they can participate in problem solving exercises. Let me tell you, friends, many modern institutions have who have using flipped classroom, they have reported many benefits. Firstly, flipped classroom allows all students to learn at their own pace. You see, in a classroom, some students are slow learners, some are fast learners. Some learns best when something is uh, you see explained. Some learner learn best when something is shown. So e-content is with them. They can read the material again and again. Now in a classroom, the teacher sometimes speaks at a very high rate, and the slow learners are not able to uh, comprehend what the teacher is telling. Now here, the material is with them. They can read the material again and again. Even they can watch the video again and again because that is available with them. Secondly, it is more efficient. Why? Because the students enter the classroom prepared to contribute. And flipped classroom, you see, enriches the lesson as more time can be spent on group work, project work in the classroom. So doing homework in class allows students to help each other. So a flipped classroom is an instructional strategy, and I would say a type of blended learning, because some portion is given to them online, and the clarification part or more example and problem solving is carried out in the classroom. So it's a type of blended learning focusing on student engagement, active learning, giving the teacher a better opportunity to deal with different types of students. Their difficulties can be, uh, uh, overcome. So, what is typically presented in class, that is lecture content, background knowledge, real life experiences by a live teacher, students receive at the home via a reading material. It may be self learning material, computer assisted instruction material. You see, self learning material is different from textbook material. So, self learning material is different from textbook material, because the self learning material is written in interactive form. That is, when the student reads the material, he has a feeling that a teacher is talking to him and not he simply reading out the content. Self learning material contains everything, it is self sufficient. Simple language. Material is presented in small chunks. Every chunk has one or two inbuilt questions followed by feedback. Okay. Then each self learning material has rich sources of extra learning. That is, some links are given, some links of YouTube videos are given, or it can be through computer assisted instruction. I'll give you the specimen of both self-learning material and computer-assisted instruction material. So traditionally, the teacher delivers lecture in the classroom and the students are doing homework alone at home. Now in a flipped classroom, the students are studying the material themselves and then they come to the classroom. In the classroom, teacher gives sufficient examples to clarify the students' doubts, and number of exercises are given to the students, maybe individually or maybe in small groups. So what is typically given as homework is done in class with assistance of the teacher. Now, you see, let me try to explain the the flipped classroom has got good relationship with pedagogical theory, and one educationist, Allen, has looked at various pedagogical theories and he has tried to examine their applications to the flipped classroom. And these theorists include Vygotsky, Bloom, Keller, Skinner. I think some of the names you might have heard. And Allen has tried to give a concise introduction to each theorist fundamentals and applies it to the flipped classroom. Firstly, let us have a look at Lev Vygotsky, who was a Russian developmental psychologist, and this psychologist proposed a theory of development of higher cognitive functions in the students. His theories emphasized that students can reach a higher level of understanding through group work. I think you are familiar with the Bloom's taxonomy. Starting at the lowest level is the remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, creating. So through flipped classroom, we can reach up to the higher cognitive function, and that is through group work. And this is an important component of flipped classroom because the students are given material to study at home, and in the classroom they carry out small projects, they do some case studies in small group. Okay, they participate in discussion. I have taken the name of you see Bloom, who was an American educational psychologist, and he has contributed to the theory of mastery learning model. What is mastery learning model? Content is presented to the students in small chunks. The first chunk he studies, and then he uh, solves some numericals, or he answers the questions which are given at the end of a small chunk of material, and it is followed by feedback. If he is he has understood and he has answered the question well, and he can then proceed further. So this is the this is in the flipped classroom model. So as such, students receive individual instruction, they work at own pace and receive regular formative assessments from the material. So these are all the characteristics of flipped classroom. Then Keller, who has also developed the personal system of instruction, laying emphasis on mastery learning. So he developed the Keller plan, the one component of which consisted of unit mastery, that is chunking long lectures or content into discrete units, which is what flipped teaching tends to do. So the student must demonstrate mastery of the content before moving to the next chunk or the next unit. So this is the key component of flipped classroom. Skinner, American psychologist and behaviorist, and I think you are familiar with his theory of reinforcement and radical behaviorism. So according to him, the student has to master a concept before proceeding to the next one, and before proceeding to the next one, he has to answer the question. There is immediate feedback rather than delayed feedback, and this is applicable to flipped classroom. That is, as in class activities allow for a chance at immediate assessment of applied knowledge. So a flipped classroom is one that inverts the typical cycle of content acquisition. Student gain necessary knowledge through e-content, self-learning material, computer-assisted instruction, videos, etc. before the class. That is, the teacher has provided the e-content or the video lecture in their WhatsApp group, or the material can be uploaded on the website of the institute. The student can download the material, they can study the material uh, from their WhatsApp group. So they may be at the remembering level. Some students can reach up to understanding level if the material contains enough examples, visuals, and at the in the during the classroom they can apply when the teacher gives them some you see practice based exercises. Now teacher guides students to actively and interactively clarify and apply their knowledge during class. So flipped class shifts instruction intentionally to a learner centered model in which time in the classroom is used to explore topic in greater depth and create meaningful learning opportunity, while students are initially introduced to new topic outside of the classroom, that is home. Content delivery may take a variety of forms like a video lesson of not more than 8 to 12 minutes duration. This can be prepared by the teacher himself, or you can identify the relevant video from the YouTube, okay, and then note down its link. You can pass that link to the students, and online collaborative discussion, or through Facebook, through WhatsApp group, digital research. So using social media, you can make teaching learning very effective. Let us have a look at what different researchers have said about flipped classroom. Bergman, it is that which is traditionally done in class is now done at home, and that which is traditionally done as homework is now completed in class. Smith, it involves pushing lecture material outside the classroom as a form of homework or other pre-class preparation, leaving more time in class for interaction or for solving exercises. Set of pedagogical approaches that move most information transmission teaching out, out of the class, and use class time for learning activities that are active and social, and require students to complete pre and post class activities to fully benefit from in class work. Now, in this particular slide, we have given a comparative picture of before the flip and after the flip. So before the flip, Students are assigned something to read. Students try to follow along. Teacher tries to get through all the material. Students attempt homework, usually with delayed feedback, because the teacher gives homework, and many a time teacher has will not get any time to you see evaluate the homework. Now here the students are learning through you see guided instruction. There are inbuilt questions followed by feedback. So student practice performing the skill they are expected to learn. Students continue to apply their knowledge during class. Teacher can give more explanation. Resources there are available. I'll give you the specimen. So flip teaching is a form of blended learning, learning new content through reading material. It may be online or by watching video at home, and what used to be homework is now done in the class. So in the literature, you will find different terminology like backward class, reverse instruction, flipping the classroom, or reverse teaching. Now, let me relate the different stages of flipped classroom with Bloom's taxonomy. So you have given them e-content or video. They are studying at home. They will be at remembering stage. And if the material is rich in potential experiences, many of the students can go up to the understanding level. Now, during the classroom, teacher is providing them problem solving exercises. They will be able to apply, they will be able to analyze. And after the class, teacher can give them small project. They can carry out in small groups. They will reach up to the creating stage. So flipped classroom is not just online video, it is not just reading or learning material. You cannot replace teacher with video or reading learning material. You see, teacher has to be there. He has to be there to clarify students doubts. He has to be there to give more example, to supplement with more you see concretize examples. It is just not an online class. It is not where students are working without structure. You see, for a traditional lecture, you are preparing a lecture plan, you give structure to your lecture. Now here also you have to structure your lecture plan, you have to prepare, but it is different from the traditional model of teaching. It is not students working in isolation, that is they are studying at home, okay, they have learned. No, now they are in the classroom, so they will be actively participating. It is not students spending the entire class online, it is a blended approach. Okay, so flipped classroom is a means to increase teacher contact time. You see, in a traditional lecture, teacher is spending 40 minutes out of 45 minutes in delivering instruction. Hardly 5 minutes he get to take attendance, or maybe to give to ask one or two questions. Now here the entire time is spent with students. He has not to deliver the lecture part he has already given in advance. So it is an environment that increases student responsibility. That is, by instructing them to study the material at home, we are making them responsible. It is blending of direct instruction and constructivist learning. It is a class where all students participate. It is a class where absent students won't fall behind. You see, today one student is absent. If you are delivering lecture, he is you see absent, and he will not be able to learn the material. Now, in flipped teaching, material you have given to them. In case he is absent by chance, he can meet the teacher for more example when the teacher is free. Content part is already available with the student. So it is a class where all students are engaged in their learning. Okay. So we are shifting the paradigm. In a traditional model, the teacher acts as as a sage on the stage, and in a blended instruction, the teacher acts as a facilitator. That is, he acts as a guide on the sides of the learner. Now, let us have a look at the advantages of flipped classroom over traditional method of teaching and learning. Firstly, uh, the flipped model teaches students to take responsibility for their learning. Uh, in order to succeed, the student must take responsibility for their own learning. Okay, the student is required to study the material. It creates a way to easily personalize and differentiate the classroom. Now, the student is reading the material according to his own pace. He can read the material again and again. He can watch the video again and again. So the pace of class is appropriate for each student. So this particular aspect personalizes the learning for each student. It makes learning the center of the classroom. These flipped classroom has become the laboratory of learning where the entire focus is on what students have or have not learned. It gives students immediate feedback and reduces teacher paperwork. I show you the example of self-learning material and computer assisted instruction material, which includes inbuilt questions followed by immediate feedback. Even in the classroom, teacher can give a Google form questionnaire containing say 10-20 multiple choice question at the end of the class. So that evaluation is done there and then. It provides an opportunity for remedial instruction. That is, a student has learned the material at home. You can provide remedy. You can give examples in the classroom. It allows for multiple means of learning the content. That is a good source of uh, Google content. YouTube content is also given in the material. I'll give you the example. Multiple chances of demonstrating understanding. Verbal discussion you can hold. You can show short videos. You can give detailed PowerPoint presentation, demonstration. It has changed the role of the teacher. Instead of standing in front of the class, pouring the information and being the center of the attention, the teacher spends the time doing what is most important, and it is helping the students, leading small groups, working with students who are struggling. So it means the role of the teacher is changed here. All students are involved, and it makes, you see, hands-on activities more personal. So benefits to the students: they can learn at their own speed, provide opportunities for review, because material is with them, they can review. Material is ready, prepared for absentees. They can take ownership of their learning. They are actively involved. They need not struggle with completing homework at home. Now, the benefits to teacher: shift from sage on the stage to guide on the side. They can spend more time for supplementing with practice. They can spend less time managing the student indiscipline problem. Even a teacher can collaborate with other teacher in developing the material. So in this way, the teacher can connect with the student, and the teacher is involved with student learning rather than lecturing. So as I said, the role of the teacher is changed. So the teacher should be a content master. That is, a teacher who is not proficient in his content area cannot operate in a flipped mastery class. You see, in a traditional lecture, he is simply looking at his notes, dictating some of the material, and he knows that if one or two question comes, no problem. Now here, the lecture content you have given in advance, now the students come in the class with lots of questions. So he has to be proficient in his content area. He has to move mentally from one topic to another. This is very important. He has to have a comprehensive understanding of the interconnectedness of the content. And secondly, he must admit when he or she doesn't know the answer to student question, and must be willing to research and answer with the student. You see, in a traditional classroom, uh, some question comes to you and you don't have the ready-made answer. You have two choices. You can redirect the question to the student. Can any one of you answer this question? Now you get some time to recollect, and in case some answer comes to you, you will be able to reply. But if no one is giving any answer, then you must admit that this is a good question. I will study at home. You also study at home. So tomorrow we'll take up this question. So next day, your first task is to answer that question. But this shouldn't happen every day. Again, today again you have got a question. You don't have the answer. You have simply said, "Oh, I'll study at home. You study at home. Tomorrow will." So in that way, if, every day it happens, then you will be able to lose the interest and attention and the confidence of your students. The teacher must be able to flow through a class period in a non-linear fashion. All the students are at different places in their mastery, isn't it? And understanding of the learning. The role of the teacher is to meet each student where he or she is. So the teacher has to meet the student at the point of the need. The teacher must be able to give up control of the learning process to the student. The teacher has to play the role of a supportive coach. He is there to encourage the student. So instead of standing in front of the room, pouring information and being the center of attention, the flipped classroom has helped the teacher doing what is most important, that is helping students, leading small groups, and working with those students who are struggling. Let me present before you the findings of a research. Chan, Louis, and Martinelli in 2017, they have examined 46 articles on the effectiveness of flipped classroom in medical education with different learning outcomes. So he has presented his review in terms of the effect of flipped classroom, perception of flipped classroom, attitude changes after using the flipped classroom, and knowledge skill behavior changes with the flipped classroom. So he these experts have examined 46 experimental papers because it is effectiveness of flipped classroom. You can also carry out small experiment. What you can do is you can identify, say, two chapters. Now for these two chapters you can develop e-content, and for each chapter 2 to 3 videos of 8 to 10 minutes duration. Now divide your class into two groups randomly. To one group you will be teaching those two topics by using only lecture mode, and to the other group you are giving them the material in advance, and in the classroom you will involve them in solving problems. You can prepare a small test containing 20 questions on two topics each. Before the start of the experiment, you can give the test to both the groups to know about their, you see, previous knowledge. Then conduct the experiment, and after 2 days, the same test can be given as a post test. So you can carry out small statistics, that is, say, T ratio, and that will help you to identify which group has achieved higher grades. So likewise, he has examined 46 articles on the effectiveness. Now this review has suggested inconsistent findings regarding the effect, because it's a new approach, some suggesting benefits while others reporting negligible improvement over traditional teaching method. But you see, now recent articles I have gone through, I'll give you the example. All the studies have shown that flipped classroom is a superior method of imparting instruction. Now in terms of perceptions of the flipped classroom, the survey has indicated that students were generally satisfied with the approach, particularly the usefulness of the online material because of their easy access to resources for self-paced learning. They can read the material again and again, they can watch the material video again and again. So self-paced. And in regard to attitude changes after using the flipped classroom, the survey has reported positive changes. Studies have suggested that the students reported increased enjoyment, decreased boredom, and greater task value in flipped classroom. And in regard to knowledge, skills, and behavior changes with the flipped classroom, the survey has observed mixed results uh, regarding students' changes in knowledge and skills with the flipped classroom versus traditional lecturing. Likewise, many more studies were conducted. I have read from the literature available online, using the flipped classroom to enhance English as a foreign language learning, flipped classroom in sociology course, flipped classroom and mind mapping in teaching basic sciences to dental students, investigating the potential of flipped classroom in mathematics teaching learning, flipped classroom in organic chemistry, effects of flipped classroom model in an introductory college mathematics, and action research study, impact of flipped classroom on student performance at school level in India, and many more. So goals of the flipped model is to find an approach that would make it possible for the teacher to move from sage to the guide, reducing the amount of time spent in class and focusing more on understanding and application. So now let me go to how the flipped classroom model can be implemented. That is, what are the rules or what are the steps? Firstly, as I told you that you have to prepare the plan. So your plan must include the learning outcome. So establish or formulate learning outcome, that is, after the topic is over, what the student will be able to do, and for attaining those learning outcome, prepare a plan. Okay, and then develop e-content, record video. You can record your video yourself, or you can identify a relevant simple video from YouTube. You can note down the link, then assure that you have uh, presented the material to the student in advance. Maybe you can upload on the website of your institution, or you can send through their WhatsApp. You can make a WhatsApp group, or you can make a Facebook group, and then incorporate engaging learning activities to be done in class: interaction, discussion, problem, questions, experiential debate, lab work in class time. Create multiple versions of each summative assessment for student to demonstrate. This is most efficiently and effectively done through the use of a test bank on a computer generated testing system. Okay, or you can uh, prepare a Google questionnaire, Google form questionnaire. Now, in addition, the teacher can also use different usage strategies. uh, Active learning, you can allow students to apply concept. Then peer instruction, student can teach each other by explaining the concepts. Collaborative learning, okay, this type of learning could increase the student engagement, enhance student understanding, and provide collective intelligence. Problem based learning can be spent working on problem, then discussion or debates, etc. Now let me give you uh, how you can prepare e-content in the form of self-learning material. Self-learning material is a method of giving individualized instruction in which each student is active, proceeds at his or her own pace, and is provided with immediate knowledge of result. That is, content is in small steps. After that unit, there are inbuilt practice task questions followed by feedback. So every student gets feedback, and then he moves to the next unit. So it is a method of providing individualized instruction in which each student is active, proceeds at his or her own pace, and is provided with immediate knowledge of result. And I think open learners, distant or flexible learners depend a lot on self-learning material because they have to learn at their own, at a time, at a place, and a pace. Okay. Now there are five important characteristics of a good self-learning material. Firstly, Self-explanatory. Self-learning materials are developed in such a manner that doesn't require any intermediary, that is the teacher, to explain the content, because the content is written in simple language, interactive tone. Interactive tone means when a student reads the material, he thinks that a teacher is talking to him and not he is simply reading out the text. So the content is in small language, small units, to help the learner assimilate the content by reading. So content is organized in a logical and integrated manner. So it means the teacher is built in into the text. Secondly, self-contained. Everything, every example, visual, everything is in one package. He need not go to library. He need not go here and there because he is at home studying the material. I'll give you the example. Self-instructional, self-direction, self-motivating, interactive language, different font size, font color, highlighting main points, number of visuals that motivates the student, and then self-evaluating, inbuilt questions followed by feedback. Now let me show you the example of a self-learning material. हाँ, ये मैंने एक मॉड्यूल बनाया है. This is a systematic approach to instruction design. Now, firstly, you will write the objective, that is broad objective, then learning outcome, that is after reading the learning material, you will be able to explain the concept of a system with an example and so on. Then prerequisite knowledge, that is you assume that students might be knowing something. So that part you have given prerequisite knowledge. Then introduction. Now this is interactive language. Dear learners, as you know that earlier instruction plans have been made largely by intuition. Okay, I'll teach up to here. Oh no, I must include this point also. And have often been based on ambiguous goals. Today I will teach you about inertia, or sometimes teachers say I will enable you understand and know Ohm's law, and casual subjective judgment. What do you know about force, or discuss? So it means that main interest has been with method of teaching. Please note now, then system approach. Before developing the concepts of system, it is essential to understand the term system. We often use the word system in day-to-day life in describing the subject. Let us take the example of a car and find out the various parts of car. So मैंने इसको जो है highlight कर दिया. There are number of examples I have given. Okay, तो simple language, जहाँ पर भी आपने समराइज करना उसको रेक्टेंगल में डाला. नंबर ऑफ एग्जाम्पल, सिंपल लैंग्वेज, इंस्ट्रक्शन सिस्टम डिज़ाइन. नाउ प्रैक्टिस टास्क. ठीक है, ये बिकॉज सेल्फ लर्निंग मटेरियल है, ई कंटेंट है, तो मैंने लॉन्ग आंसर क्वेश्चन भी दे दिए. इन केस ऑफ कंप्यूटर असिस्टेंट इंस्ट्रक्शन पैकेज यू कैन प्रिपेयर मल्टीपल चॉइस क्वेश्चन ओनली, वो भी मैं आपको दिखाता हूँ. Then self evaluation to practice task. Okay, so this is feedback. Now you learn the next input. This is the second input. Then this is a lecture of 1 hour duration, different font color, examples, illustrations, then practice task again. Then there is feedback, then next unit, then practice task. Now references and bibliography. So list of books the students can go through. Some of the books we have given the links also. Supporting video lectures. So video film on systematic approach to instruction design. Okay, these are the videos available. You can provide these are the web resources. The student can go through the web resources. Now I'll present a small you see CI package material. Now you see that I have prepared the CI package by using PowerPoint presentation. Now in a PowerPoint presentation, if you press any key, or if you click mouse on the screen, you will find another screen. Okay, next screen. But here I have locked the mouse and the keyboard and created the buttons, because otherwise for preparing CI package you need to learn difficult software like Toolbook and Authorware. So I have improvised on PowerPoint presentation. So let me show that small video. Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Audio is also there.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Welcome, dear learners, to massive open online course on self-learning material development. Dear learners, you have already understood the process of design and development of computer-assisted self-instructional material. In this video, you will have a feel of computer-assisted self-instructional material. Let us take an example of uniform and non-uniform velocity from the subject of physics. And the beauty of this CAI package is that it is developed using only PowerPoint presentation. And here we have locked the mouse and we have also locked the keyboard. We have created buttons. Unless the learner presses a particular button, the next screen will appear. So uniform and non-uniform velocity. Now let us start with. So as already informed you that the first screen will display the instructional objectives. That is, at the end of the session, you will be able to. So there are two types of objective written. One is the broad objective and second is the learning outcomes. So understand the concept of average speed, no uniform and no non-uniform velocity, understand the concept of acceleration, and learning outcomes are calculate the average speed of a body, identify from the given example whether an object is accelerated, and state the SI units of acceleration. Now in this screen you will have three buttons: home, previous, and next. Now we'll move to next. Now in this slide we want to test the prerequisites possessed by the learner. So some questions are given. For example, if your car is moving at a speed of 60 km per hour in first 2 hours and 72 km per hour for next 2 hours, it means your car is moving with. Now there are 4 options and the student will select one of these 4 options. Let us say the option is B, non-uniform speed. Now the feedback is presented to the student. It is stated, well, your answer is correct. Now his answer is being reinforced and the reasoning is also given why he has chosen the right answer. Now you can move to the next question. Next question, SI unit of velocity are meter per second, centimeter per second, kilometer, and meter per second square. Let us take answer A as the correct answer. So your answer is correct. Again, the student is being reinforced and the reasoning is also given. Now he has to move to the next question. Now you have to move to the next question. Velocity is a vector quantity because it is determined by, again, there are four options. So let us see both magnitude and direction. C option is correct. Now click here and you will find the feedback. Now this man is walking with a velocity of 2 km per hour in west direction. It means it contains both the magnitude as well as the direction. Now next. Now the input is given, and already you have studied that the matter is divided into small inputs, and the language is quite simple and interactive. Now let us read it. On her way to Agra, Anjali travels by her car, which is moving at a speed of 50 km per hour for first hour and 60 km per hour for next hour. What is average speed of car? Well, average speed, this is new term for you. Now you will study about average speed. The question which comes in mind that is it necessary that an object covers equal distances in equal intervals of time? No, it is not possible. An object cannot cover equal distance in equal intervals of time. For example, while traveling in a car, it is not possible to keep car at a constant speed. So it is better to express speed in terms of average speed. So you see that the matter is presented in interactive tone. Now we move to next screen. When we travel in a vehicle, the speed of vehicle changes from time to time depending upon the conditions existing on the road. So in such a situation, the speed is calculated by the ratio of the total distance traveled by the vehicle to the total time taken for the journey, and this is called as the average speed. Now you will notice that the main idea is presented in different font color, font type you can use differently. So there is one animation. Now next, if an object covers a distance s1 in time t1, distance s2 in time t2, and distance sn in time tn, then the average speed is given by this formula. So again, the main idea is given in a rectangle, and it is given in bold letters, different font color, font type. So thus, when we say that the car travels at an average speed of 60 km per hour, it doesn't mean that the car would be moving with the speed of 60 km per hour throughout the journey. Now, next screen, there is one inbuilt practice task question. A car travels 100 km at a speed of 50 km per hour and returns with a speed of 40 km per hour. What is the average speed of whole journey? Now, the student can take his own time and he can calculate. Say the answer is C, 44.4 km per hour. So again, his answer is being reinforced. The calculation is also given, and now he will move to the next screen. You can take an example of a car. As in the case of uniform speed, car will have uniform velocity if it covers equal distance in equal intervals of time, no matter how small these time intervals may be, but in a specified direction in a straight line. So in this example, car will be having uniform velocity only if it travels 30 km per hour in same direction. Now you can move to the next once you have read this material. But what will happen if car changes its direction? Yes, change in direction will lead to a change in the velocity of the car. So velocity of car will not remain uniform as given in the definition. So let us think over how can we change velocity of a body. There are two ways. One is you change the speed of the body or change the direction of the body by keeping speed constant. Next, now you can take an example. Two athletes, Ram and Sham, are running with a uniform speed of 5 meters per second. Ram is running on a straight track. Now this animation is here. Sham moves on a circular track. For a layman, both Ram and Sham are moving with uniform velocity, but for a physicist only, of course, Ram is running with uniform velocity because there is no change in his speed and direction of motion. Whereas in case of Shyam, who is running along a circular track, the direction of motion is changing at every instant as circle is polygon with infinite sides and Sham has to change his direction at every instant. So now he can move to the next slide, or if he wants to study the previous slide, he can click the previous button. Okay, now let us move to next. So you can now define these terms. A body is said to be moving with uniform velocity if it covers equal distances in equal intervals of time in a specified direction. So a body is said to be moving with variable velocity if it covers unequal distances in equal intervals of time and vice versa in a specified direction, or if it changes the direction of the motion. Now, next slide. Let us take an example. Car is moving on a road. What about its velocity? Will it be uniform or not? Answer to this problem is velocity of car is not uniform because even if the speed of car is constant, the car is changing its direction continually. This is the case of changing velocity, that is velocity is variable or non-uniform velocity. Next slide. Now you can check your understanding. A bus is moving on hilly road with speed of 20 km per hour. It means bus is moving with non-uniform velocity. So you are correct. So again, the feedback is given. Next slide. This problem has given rise to the new concept in the field of motion, and that is acceleration. So what is acceleration? Let us take an example of a car. It starts from rest, that is its initial velocity is 0. At 0 second, v is 0. After 5 seconds, v is 10 meter per second. After 10 seconds, it is 20 meter per second. In this situation, car is changing its velocity by 10 meter per second after every 5 seconds. Now next, car is accelerating. So again, there is some animation. The data is given. In above example, car changes its velocity after every 5 seconds. If the velocity of the car increases, the body is said to be accelerating. Now you can define the concept of acceleration. Now the formula is given in a rectangle and a different font color, different font type. Next. Now you can try to answer this. So again, there is one question given here. Now you can move to next slide. Try to find answer to this problem. Say a car starting from rest acquires a velocity of 36 km per hour in 5 seconds. Its acceleration is. So using that formula given in the previous slide, you can find out the answer. Say answer is B. So your answer is correct. Again, feedback is given. So next slide. Well, the term acceleration need not always mean that the velocity of a moving body is always increasing. It can also decrease, remain the same, or become zero. Now, one example is given here. So train starts from rest and gains a speed of 100 meter per second. That is, it accelerates after some time. Now, this illustration is given here and the relevant content is also given. Now, magnitude and direction of acceleration changes with changing velocity of a body. So here again illustration is given and you can take some of the illustrations from the website. Now, end session test, that average speed is equal to. So say answer is D. So your answer is correct. Okay, your answer is being reinforced. A body moving with a constant speed of 20 meter per second and following a zigzag path has, say, non-uniform velocity. Say answer is B. Your answer is correct. So next, the SI unit of acceleration is, say, meter per second square. Say you have chosen B as the right answer. So it will say that your answer is not correct because acceleration is this, unit of acceleration is this. So your answer is not being reinforced. Now next. So at the end, the whole chapter is summarized. So the main points are highlighted in the simple language, and at the end, thank you very much. So it means you can either go to the previous slide or you can go to the home page. So home page was this, uniform and non-uniform velocity. So dear learner.
So now the session is open. I have given you two examples, one of self-learning material and another is of CI package. So these two material you can develop and you can employ for flipped classroom. And flipped classroom is a blended form of you see imparting instruction. You can also make a WhatsApp group and also you can make a Facebook group also.
Question.
हाँ जी, बोलिए प्लीज प्लीज।
Actually, I have already tried doing this activity several times. What happens practically? Students, maybe because they are not accustomed to doing this,
हाँ,
student doesn't come prepared. Like most of the student will not know anything and will come as it is. Now in that case, how can we like change this, or how can we improve it?
देखिए, I have told you that many good institutions have started following flipped classroom, and during COVID time also, the students were made, you see, responsible for learning on their own. Gradually they will start, you see, taking interest. You have to create the interest by preparing very good self learning material. वो बुक की लैंग्वेज नहीं होनी चाहिए, लैंग्वेज इंटरेक्टिव होनी चाहिए। जैसे कि टीचर क्लासरूम में बोलता है, जिस जैसी लैंग्वेज क्लासरूम में टीचर यूज करता है, वही लैंग्वेज इस मटेरियल में आनी चाहिए। नाउ लेट अस हैव अ लुक एट दिस, लाइक काइंड ऑफ दिस लैंग्वेज, तभी स्टूडेंट जो फॉलो करेंगे। अगर वो बुकिश होगी, लॉट ऑफ कंटेंट इज गिवन, नो इलस्ट्रेशन, नो एग्जांपल, दे विल फाइंड इट वेरी मच बोरिंग। तो पहले तो आपको कंटेंट जो है बढ़िया बनाना पड़ेगा।
This is okay, like I understand, but generally, like what we see, maybe because they don't get too much time, they are accustomed to studying only in college. When they go home, they don't take them seriously, or they don't go through the learning material. But what happens, like when we have given material enough, um, um, like in the way we have to be, they don't do, like only 10% or very few students will come prepared, but others will be blank.
Then you can tell them that your internal assessment will be based upon Google form question, which will be given every day after the lecture is over, after flipped classroom is over.
Yes,
Then
that
they will come prepared in the classroom and participate actively. आप पहले से ही उनको ट्रांसपेरेंसी रखिए ना, उनको बता दीजिए, इन्फॉर्म कर दीजिए दैट माय इंटरनल असेसमेंट विल बी बेस्ड अपॉन Google form question which would be given during the class, and those who have prepared and those who have studied, they will be able to solve the questions. तभी थोड़ा सा इंटरेस्ट क्रिएट होगा, और उनको पता चल जाएगा कि मेरे क्वेश्चन जो है, मार्क्स जो है ऐसे नहीं लगेंगे। इंटरनल असेसमेंट जो है, इट इज बेस्ड अपॉन दी क्लासरूम वर्क।